And with that, I want to pass the microphone back now to my partner, Ron, to discuss changing buyer maps.
Thanks, Jan. So first off, you can't see it. We can see it. There's a bunch of tremendous questions coming in. So we're going to make sure that we leave some time here at the end here to get into those questions. I've enjoyed reading your questions because they're great questions. Try to get to some of them with what Chris and me are going to cover here in the next couple of minutes. But right now, I just want to talk a little bit about buyer maps and, who are the buyers out there in the marketplace today? I think one of the things that we're seeing a lot of is diversity in the buyer maps. Traditionally, 10 years ago, you would have gone to, creating a buyer map if you were a customs house broker, and I worked with Livingston. In fact, both Chris and me both worked with Livingston. Livingston wanted to change from a Toronto-based forwarder to a North American-based forwarder and buying a lot of acquisitions. They bought 9 acquisitions in the United States. But all those acquisitions, except for one, were focused on customs house brokerage. So a little bit of freight forwarding. So that was really what we would call, horizontal integration and horizontal buying with what they were buying, same to same. And that was what the buyers were. Today, we're recommending that you diversify that buyer list. You look not only at the same type companies and the best of the best who would be interested in that. As Chris mentioned, we get very selective in our buyer map approach, but you're also looking at who would this help tremendously to buy. And let me give you a couple examples here. First off, if most of you know who Maersk is, and 5 years ago, you would have said that they were a premier ocean carrier. Today, that has dramatically changed. They started off with Chris and Jan selling them a company that was a custom house brokerage. And over the last 5 years, they've made acquisitions into the project forwarding space. They've made acquisitions into the warehousing space. They've made large acquisition into the air cargo space. So today, Maersk has expanded through what we call vertical integration. They've expanded their service offerings and they've become a global 3PL. Why have they done that? Because their customers have asked them to do that. They've asked them to be an end-to-end supply chain supplier and solutions provider for them. Another really good example of, first off, of horizontal integration would be Geodis. If you look at Geodis as a real good example, Geodis was, 5 years ago, they were a premier provider, one of the top 3 or 4 premier providers of logistics services in Europe. They wanted to get into the biggest market in the world, which is the United States. So they made a $1 billion plus acquisition of Osborne Hesse. Got them their footprint. Now they know what they're doing in the United States. They're helping their customers with dealing in the United States. Most recently, Geodis decided to go into vertical integration. So not only as they bought that company, they realized that there were maybe some other service offerings that they could offer. So they just, over the last 2 months, made a real strategic acquisition of Final Mile in buying Need It Now. So in buying Need It Now, they've expanded their service offerings to go all the way down into what we would call package delivery or final mile delivery. And buying a good company like Need It Now that itself had done 20 plus acquisitions to get them to where they were over the last 20 years. That's incredible. So I think it's real important to understand that the marketplace has changed over the last 5 years to both horizontal and vertical integration of offering multiple services to people. I think that's real important. When you talk about when you sell, what's the most important to you, I think one of the things that you really need to know is you need to get away from this multiple theory. We always get asked it. The 3 of us get asked this every single day. What's the current multiples in freight forwarding? What's the current multiples in customs house brokerage? You know what? It's irrelevant. It's what's most important to you for your legacy. What's the ultimate value that you need out of your company? When you're buying a company, How much are you willing to pay for it? Don't worry about the multiple. How much are you willing to pay for that company? So what's it worth for you? I think that's really, really important to you, and to understand, where you're going with the business. How does it maintain your legacy of what you want to leave with your business? And what's the total enterprise value of your company? So final note on capital, and I didn't talk about this because we really don't deal with venture capital. Venture capital over the last, probably 4 or 5 years has been very, very, very active in our space, but it's been really in the technology space. And Chris, as he kind of passed by and didn't really mention it, he's an expert in technology. He's created one of the best platforms in freight forwarding, custom house brokerage in the industry today. In fact, it is the standard of the industry today. So I'm going to let Chris talk a little bit about technology and supply chain technology. Chris?